I'm Luke Summerhays, and I love Spritzee. When we talk about fairies, we talk about the old magic, the kind associated with pre-Roman people in Europe, or similar groups elsewhere. These people were often ousted or usurped in the coming of the Iron Age, hence the traditional fairy allergy to iron, and the Pokemon type's weakness to Steel type. Fairies' other main weakness is the poison type. As well as older peoples and beliefs, fairies also represent a connection to nature, and are hurt or diminished by the spread of industry, pollution, and so on. Tinkerbell is almost killed by poison in Peter Pan, and to people before modern medicine, disease was almost indistinguishable from a curse that one might encounter in a fairy circle. Spritzee is a small bird-like fairy-type Pokemon. Fluffy and pink, it resembles a makeup duster, or a little bottle of perfume with which an elegant lady might spritz herself. Hence the name Spritzee, and the Japanese Shushupu, from a similar onomatopoeia. Pokemon Y tells us, in the past, rather than using perfume, royal ladies carried a Spritzee that would waft a fragrance they liked. And Pokemon Omega Ruby tells us, it emits a scent that enraptures those who smell it. This fragrance changes depending on what it has eaten. Cosmetics like makeup and perfume, while feeling somewhat modern, can be found in archaeological evidence going back about as far as modern humans go, from ochre body paint in prehistoric cave dwellings to elaborate head candles and makeup in ancient Egypt. In Sillage City, players can find a sachet filled with fragrant perfumes that are just slightly too overwhelming, yet it's loved by a certain Pokemon. If we give this item to Spritzee and trade it, it will evolve into Aromatisse. Before the germ theory of disease was understood, most learned people in Europe believed disease spread through miasmas, unpleasant gases and smells. It's not without logic. Unclean, smelly places are likely to have diseases. Initially, physicians would attempt to protect themselves by carrying a sachet of fragrant perfumes, but this evolved in 17th century France into the plague doctor mask, with a leather beak filled with aromatic items and a pair of goggles. Aromatisse is a cute, round, pink fairy creature with a provocative leg extended from its ball-gown-like fluff. Its bird-like beak and round eyes could give the impression of a plague doctor, and it does wield aromas like sorceries. Pokemon X tells us, it devises various scents, pleasant and unpleasant, and emits scents that its enemies dislike in order to gain an edge in battle. And Pokemon Shield tells us, the scents Aromatisse can produce range from sweet smells that bolster allies to foul smells that can sap an opponent's will to fight. Around the same time the aftershocks of plague were necessitating the birth of the plague doctors, the population of Paris was so large that the aristocracy covered themselves in makeup and drenched themselves in perfume to hide from the filth and stink of their decadence. Pokemon Y tells us, its scent is so overpowering that, unless a trainer happens to really enjoy the smell, he or she will have a hard time walking alongside it. Aromatisse uses aromas with finesse, while the Japanese name, Frefouan, is another onomatopoeia-based name, fuafua implying a light, fluffy airiness, combined with the fre of fragrance. Frefouan. Friend of the show, Mikey from Pokemon Crossroads, told us about the performance of Aromatisse in the trading card game. It's the dawn of the XY era of the Pokemon TCG, and Fairy-type Pokemon have been introduced to the trading card game. As part of that introduction, Aromatisse was given a special ability that will make it useful for the majority of its time in the standard format and beyond. Aromatisse's Fairy Transfer ability allows you to move your Fairy-type energy to any Pokemon you want at any time during your turn. Different strategies will be used to put plenty of Fairy-type energy on the board, along with Rainbow energy, then move them to different attackers to create various Fairy box decks with different typed attackers. When those attackers had too much damage on them, then Aromatisse would be used to move that energy to a different Pokemon. Then use Max Potion to heal off that damage. You can then move that energy back to the healed Pokemon. Aromatisse has been part of several different decks during its time in Standard to make several top 8 at locals, regionals, and worlds. Thanks, Mikey. As for the video game competitive scene, Aromatisse can increase its own stats through various moves and also boost allies, so it can work on some gimmicky teams, but it's never been a competitive mainstay. But today's world is already too full of facts and stats, so let's just believe in the old magics, and believe the scent of Aromatisse can carry us to victory. Music for Luke Loves Pokemon is by Jonathan Cromie. Artwork for the show is by Katie Groves. If you enjoy the podcast, find out about my other shows at podcastiopodcastius.org, or get in touch on Blue Sky at podcastpodcast. You can support the show at patreon.com/podcastiopodcastius. I love hearing from listeners. Up next are Swirlix and Inkay, so hit me up about those or any other Pokemon. And even if you don't feel like doing any of that, thank you so much just for listening. I love Spritzee, and remember, I love you too.